doing?
Oh,
Doing
pretty
well.
good.
Okay. All right. Good to hear. Good to hear. Okay, give me a quick second. Get
Yeah, sure.
some things sorted out over here.
Oh wow, we got a lot this month.
All right. Latest and greatest build. I got it right here.
Okay.
GSI week 4. All right, but before we move on, I guess I should say welcome to game balancing.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're
All
almost
right,
there.
almost there.
hmm
Okay, so what does that mean now, right? During GSI, you guys remember the focus of the thing? It was just kind of like find the right direction for your game, which you did. I think you found a great direction for it. You tried several things, um, and you found something that really works for you. Now we're going to exploit that and keep on pushing it forward and like the title of the month says, game balancing, which, we're going to keep tweaking and adjusting and doing whatever we need to do to maximize the fun of the thing, right? Now,
Okay.
also, because this month also means that there is basically 2 more months, and actually it's just slightly below 2 more months, right? It's just slightly less than 2 months worth of development time left. We also need to start thinking about um, finalizing things, right? Finalizing certain things, right? Because there's really not a whole lot of time left, right? Before you know
Yeah.
it, the end it'll be here, and you really have to wrap things up. So it's good to start thinking about, um, you know, how we're gonna start finalizing certain things, and it's basically like the same concept. You pick a direction and you stick to it, right?
hmm
Pick something and stick to it, and
Mhm.
and see if we'll make it really work. Um, with that in mind, also, if you haven't done so already, start thinking about getting some people to play test your game and start getting some feedback from them, right? And the real useful feedback that you're gonna that you should start getting, from this point onward, if you can, is from people who haven't seen your game yet, who haven't even heard of it. If that's possible, right? If you find that kind of people, because um, one of the things that we need to start, kind of looking into and ensuring that we do something about is making sure we teach new players the specific little things that they need to know in order to understand what your game is about. How do I play this game? What are the things that will let me be successful at playing your game, right? Uh, and then um, feedback, right? Which is all about user experience, right? We need to also make sure that the user experience is there, so that as players play throughout the game, they all the information that little tidbits of information that allows them to know when something gets hurt, for example. I don't know, anything other anything else that you think it's going to be useful for them to know when a certain thing is happening in the game, right? um, we'll start looking into, okay, well, what kind of feedback can we add to represent that information, right?
hmm
Visual feedback, audio feedback, maybe even text on the screen. I don't know, right? We'll figure out what that means, what's the best approach, and we'll try things out and pick something and stick to it, basically, right?
Okay.
All right, so that's it. That's pretty much this month in a nutshell. Oh, and obviously, um, we're gonna definitely make a couple of levels, right? How many levels? And then that kind of depends on um, how fast you guys can think you can kind of crank them out, and the different I guess configurations of levels that you want, right? Because I know that we talked about possibly adding other levels that have like alternate paths for the AI to take. We'll see if that becomes if that throws like a monkey wrench in the system and that becomes troublesome, then maybe that doesn't end up happening. But if it does, then maybe we can make more levels like that and whatnot, right?
Okay.
But we're not necessarily looking for a particular amount of levels. Is It's quality over quantity when it comes to levels, right? So if we only end up making 3 levels total in the game, but those 3 levels are like really cool levels and they're fun to play, then that's it. We did our job.
Okay.
All right, cool. Any questions so far?
None for me.
Not for me.
Okay, very
I'm good.
Cool. All right, so I'm running the latest build. Let me start sharing the screen here in a moment.
Okay.
And after I adjust my volume.
Yeah, we really need to mix sliders.
Yeah, for now it's fine.
Yeah.
For now, right? But yes, that actually reminds me of another point that we were gonna start talking about, which is, in with the whole mindset of start, getting into the mindset of I guess wrapping up or I guess beginning that effort. Um, making sure that your menus and all that stuff is set up and you already have a main menu going on, right?
Correct.
And then let's say you're gonna have 3 levels in your game. We played through 3 levels. Does the end of one level progresses to the next one, or what's the what is the how do we plan to handle that, right? Um, do we also go back to the main menu after we finish a level so we can just freely pick another one, or I don't know, right?
I
Um,
get what you're saying, but yeah, we'll
right,
probably think about that a little bit more.
right. And then if you want this whole thing to be kind of like a linear-ish progression where one level leads to the next, when you play all your levels, do you have like a little bit of a finale or something, right? um all these choices that you just need to, I guess, decide right now, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So screen share start it. Okay. All right, let me know when that screen is showing on your end.
We can see it. Well, I can see it.
Everyone else?
You guys?
Oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
It's full screen and everything.
Oh, awesome.
Brandon? Bell? You guys see it?
Oh, sorry. I had my mic muted. Yeah, I can see it. Sorry.
Okay,
Yeah, I
cool.
can see it.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, cool. All right, so level select, we're good here.
Oh
So,
my god.
I mean, yeah. So I understand that this is all like theoretical at this point, right? And that's a large amount of levels. All
Well,
right.
Kimball actually has some designs done already, and I think that a lot of
For
it we can drag and drop, so we may be able to pump out that many, but that is optimistic at this point. So.
Yeah, that sounds that sounds real ambitious. Um, but hey, there's nothing wrong with preparing for it. It's totally cool, right? Because it's real easy, or should be pretty easy to go back and adjust the menu. If you end up with
Yeah.
just 5 levels, it's
It is
totally
literally we delete the buttons.
Yeah. No biggie, no problem. Okay. So let's go into level 1. Um, all right, cool. I see you guys like cool new little graphics going on. And we can tell people to do things. What do I want? I want you to get to work. All right, cool. So I'd already spent some time playing around with this particular build, and it felt more balanced for sure, right?
Yeah.
But my previous strategy of sending a wave of warriors, it seems like no longer works. So that's cool.
That's what we
Right,
were
I
going.
think about. Uh, yeah, no, that's cool. So now I was definitely, trying some different things and see what works and trying to formulate different strategies. So it's cool, right? It's feeling more like that now, right? It's feeling more like that already. I see this thing you guys told me about that you got to send the medics to clear that out so that it doesn't affect your other units. So let's talk about that first, because I think that's the one thing that stood out to me the most so far. That I think, yeah, we need to start adjusting this to see what's the best approach for it. Like what's the right number for this, right? So I noticed, if I say, hey, give me like a couple warriors and one doctor. Well, as soon as I got enough of that, one doctor, right? So I noticed that like the doctor is like way slower than anyone else, right? Or maybe just these guys are just too fast. Either or, right? The knights seem about the same speed as the doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the
Yeah,
problem
too
that I'm
slow.
seeing, yeah, the problem that I'm seeing is like these guys just go and the doctor gets like left behind immediately, right? And the bandits, so if I get like one bandit, like the bandits are pretty quick also, right? The bandits, I think they do all right at keeping up with these guys. But yeah, immediately I noticed like the doctor just gets left behind, right?
Yeah.
And especially when I'm trying to clear some of these clouds, I was faced with a choice. I was like, okay, do I send a doctor first because I know he's gonna take like much longer to get there? But if I send him alone, he's probably not gonna make it because he's going to get, tore up by these guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then so I was like, okay, well, if I send some warriors up front to kind of clear the path, and then send the doctor, um, I don't know. I think like the better solution here is to maybe um, adjust the speed of the doctor. I know that you guys wanted to maybe use that as a way to just to make the doctor feel kind of different from the rest of the units, right?
Well, we were
Little
trying,
bit, yeah.
trying to balance it that way. Since
Right,
like,
try to balance it. Now, the doctor does it. Does the doctor even attack?
no.
No.
No,
No.
he doesn't. Okay, so that's cool, right? So then, if the doctor doesn't attack, um, but maybe just the fact that he doesn't attack, it's enough for him to be different, right? To be balanced in that specific way, right? Because and then let him be able to keep up with some of these units. I mean, maybe not as fast as these guys, because these guys are the fastest, right? The warriors,
Yes.
Yes.
right? So maybe they don't need to be like exactly as fast as these guys. But when it gets left behind immediately, I feel it's like, wait, I can't heal you if you don't wait for me, and you know,
Well, while I was I was trying to work with some of the balancing and the numbers and stuff. What I was finding is that the doctor was set at the same speed as the knight, which was a very powerful combination. But we have
Mm.
everything else that was so fast; it was always running away. And one of the things I was thinking of, and it makes more significance to something like if the warrior was kept fast, but the other one stayed at the same speed. That way, you could build like a little army or something. but you have to be careful with your resources then. But you can send warriors to get to the front really quickly because that's
Hmm.
their unique ability is to just move fast and everything else. So something like that might be kind of makes player choice a little bit more. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
but that was something I haven't brought up to anybody. That was something I was starting to see, just trying to generate some ideas of it because there's a big speed difference between all of them, and that makes it difficult for the doctor because one of his biggest points is he heals with
Yeah.
everything in his glider, but if everything's way behind or way ahead, all he's gonna do is just touch some play clouds and get rid of them. That's all he's really
Yeah.
doing.
Um. Yeah. I would try maybe increasing the. Try this. Like you just give it a try. Try making the doctor as fast as the warriors. Just to give that a shot, see how that feels, right? Because I'm thinking now, it seems like a real useful strategy to have if you start sending like maybe some bandits, some knights, right? And these guys move at like a pretty moderate speed, right?
Mhm.
And you start sending them the line, and all of a sudden, they're kind of like in trouble, and you're like, oh, I need a doctor now, and it's like doctor stat, right? And the doctor's job is to like hurry up and get there.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
What I could probably do, and this is just triggering on the collider, is it could search if there's any other soldiers in his collider. He stays at a certain speed, but if there's none, he moves faster. That
that
way, he
that
can
sounds
move right to the
great.
front line.
That
Yeah. We
sounds
could
great.
just do a sphere cast for that and just check for it. So
Yeah, that
Okay.
that actually sounds great, like a great solution. Um, Seems like a good balance of things, a good compromise of things. Um, yeah, that way the doctor doesn't really get left behind all the time. And when you need one, he'll try to get to places, uh, rather quickly, right?
Mhm.
Cool. All right. What about this guy right here? This is supposed to be the hero. He's not in the purchase system just yet, right?
Correct.
no. At this point, you get him at start, and then once he dies, he'll respawn about 30 seconds later. So
Okay.
you'll get him again.
Is that the way that you guys plan to do it now? You're not gonna add them to the purchase
I don't know
group
necessarily
over
that
here.
that was the definitive plan on how we were going to go. That's just how I had it set up right then and there for
Okay.
functionality, just to test that out. So, yeah, I'm not. I would assume we're going to add him to the purchase cost, thing later on. That would make
Okay.
more sense anyway.
But it'll still be like a one-time thing, as you had mentioned, right?
Yes.
Okay. No, that sounds cool.
Also, one other thing, and this is just kind of fun pointing out kind of thing. I end up being able to put in certain units do extra damage to other units.
Right.
So actually having just warriors like that unit right there, it just wrecked them. But the rat right there is going to do a lot of damage to the warriors if there's a bunch of them. Like what's coming, those warriors may actually get very heavily hit in this
Are
one.
the rats are the smallest one, right?
Mm,
Yes.
Okay, cool. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's also a great system to have. I mean, I'm always a big fan of this sort of like rock paper scissor thing.
Mm.
It's very effective at balancing things out. Um, you know,
How you like the
a
voices,
little bit of
actually?
no, they're cool. They're cool. Um, a little bit of food for thought. I was thinking as I play around with this guy over here because um, I don't know. This is kind of like a strategy that sort of started happening, started kind of evolving naturally because of the way he's currently. You get him from the start right now, right? And I understand that not necessarily the plan for him, right? For the hero,
Mhm.
but um, like right now, I see him as a he's the protector of the camp, sort of thing, right?
Right.
And what if you do get him from the beginning and he's not really like something you had to purchase? He's just the guy that you have, right? If he dies, then yeah, there should be kind of like a cooldown. Um, that way there's he's not too OP, right?
Yeah.
Um, but what if he's only allowed to, I guess, travel so far away from the camp, right? And that way he's that's his job. That's it, right? He's kind of like your last line of defense if things get a little rough over here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was thinking about that, and that sounded kind of
Well, because
interesting at the
testing
moment.
it, that's kind of what I was using the M4 too. I'd move him to the front of the village, and then he'd just sit there and attack anything that came near him. So it was a good line of defense to just have him sitting there.
Right. Yeah, exactly. To help you kind of buy some time and until you build, some of this stuff and you're like, okay, now go. I don't know. That's something interesting. So, again, like I said, some food for thought.
It does also add on a lot too. I mean, if you're constantly having to go grab the warrior and it's not where you're trying to focus, which essentially you mostly focus on the village, and then if you push a line, you kind of watch that a little bit, but you're not really, if you're having to constantly find the hero, that pulls you away from actually being able to play.
Right. Cool. All right. So let's talk about the villagers for a little bit. It looks like they're going. Okay, so the visual feedback for the weed over here, the wheat fields, is really effective, right? I can see the lines of wheat kind of growing, and as soon as it's completed, the dude goes and puts it away. The feedback for the wood, like I'm not quite sure if I understand it just yet, right? It's like when is it that the dude determines I got enough wood to go put some away and whatnot, right?
Mm.
Um, how does it work right now?
Right now, on the top left of each woods, you'll see a number generating. That's essentially what we're
Okay, I
playing with now.
do.
Those are trees that are growing, and as they're in the collider of the woods, they're chopping it down, which then turns into the wood pile that has a number next to it, which is kind of difficult to see right now from the contrast of the terrain.
Yeah, I did notice the numbers are like this one. Like sometimes it's a little easier to see. I don't know. I think it's
Yeah.
also when the daylight starts changing. Like this
Mhm.
one becomes a little easier to read, but when it's full daylight, it totally blends into the background.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh, the
Um,
other number, it's like almost,
yeah, it's got to be
yeah.
brought out. We haven't gone back to fix it, but what that is that they chop it down. The trees up at the top that's grown goes down a number, and then the wood pile goes up a number. And once the
Okay,
wood pile
so
goes up to
this is
five,
this number represents the available trees in this forest area,
hmm
right? And then this is the currently chopped trees, and then when this gets to a certain number, they go and put them away, right?
correct. Yep.
Which
Right.
is
I think
which
it's
is
5
similar
is what
to
it's
what's
set at right
happening.
now.
Okay, okay, got it. Cool. Um, yeah. So then, yeah, I think maybe the problem was that these numbers are almost, you know, unreadable at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was getting a little bit confused.
Well, would you
Uh,
like a visual cue for that?
some kind of visual cue. I mean, because I love this one. Like when I look at this one, it was like that is. It doesn't get any more clear than that. I understand exactly what's going on here.
Okay.
And if you can come up with something
Yeah. I
that
have some
represents this
ideas.
as well, then yes, absolutely.
I could just put little icons for the logs because there's only five that you need, so that's nice and spatial.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could do that. Yeah, that's no problem.
All right.
So another thing that I think would also help with the some of the feedback when the village are doing things. Um, I don't know. I was wondering if maybe they could play like a little bit of a animation while they're supposed to be working. Because sometimes when they stand there and they're like not doing anything,
You don't know if
I
they're actually
sometimes
doing it or not. Yeah.
yeah, I sometimes feel like is that dude bugged out or what's he doing? Especially when there's like I have a like several of them harvesting on the same place. I'm not sure if are they all harvesting at the same times or are some of them kind of waiting for the other one to finish for them to take their turn? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Right now, it's kind of
It's
all
choosing the
harvesting.
first one in the list every time, basically, to return back. So the first one that gets there is going to be the first one that leaves once the harvest is there. So and it just goes in a cycle like that. So which it goes in the order which they got to the field.
I see. And then the other dude will start harvesting and then he'll leave and then okay, I got it. Um
Well, they all are harvesting at the same time, but
oh,
once they build
okay.
enough resources, then the one that was first in the list goes to drop it off.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because it will go faster depending upon how many are on the field. If you just have one, it goes slower, and then the more you get out there, the faster it goes. So
Yeah, that's what I thought. I remember reading that in your build notes, which makes total sense. I don't know, something like for whatever reason, when I had like four dudes on these things, it maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to them, but it felt like that one dude doesn't seem like he's doing nothing. He never moves, you know.
Yeah.
right.
But maybe I missed it, right?
Oh, we have been having a couple little collider problems. Once we updated the image, that's when I ended up working the farm just to make it into a square collider that worked better with an image.
Okay.
Um, so sometimes if they get stuck, it may just be because of a certain collider and the image and other
Yeah,
colliders
that's
working on.
still a little bit of an issue we got.
Yeah,
Okay.
but with you saying having a nice visual effect for the woods and stuff like that, I can easily go ahead and set that up and fix that so it won't look like they're or they won't get stuck on any colliders. It's always going to function just right.
Okay. Excellent. That sounds good. All right. Um, the towers. Have you guys figured out the towers still are? Well, I mean, they're still free at the moment, right?
Yes, they're not going to
Okay, and,
cost.
and I see you have added two other types this week,
Hmm.
right? So now we have a total of four towers. Have you figured out the system for paying for the towers yet?
Not yet. 'Cause we don't really know what we should do for the cost because a lot of that's going to come into balancing.
Hmm.
The way that I've been looking at it, because I've been working with the towers with Teddy, but one of the big challenges is there's a constant force that you're sending, so you drain a lot of resources. But what are the extra resources that the player may be able to spend or save up and still be able to keep their village alive? So
Right.
a lot of it may come down to something like that. Or it may be something that you click and it actually takes a long time for it to build, so that's not instant. So, if you have to destroy the tower to build something else, then that's going to be your sacrifice.
I see. So the payment may not necessarily be your resources, is time.
Yeah, that's something
Exactly.
that I've
Yeah.
considered, but I'm not. Yeah, there's a lot to play and a lot to definitely consider for it.
Okay, cool. Well, now's the time. Now's the time to consider all those things. But yes, it's both of those approaches are worth pursuing and see which one works best for you. And obviously with the towers, another thing that you're gonna have to play around with and figure out how it works best is like where do you get to place them? Where do you allow the players to place them? Right? Like right now, there's this one spot. It seems pretty good for this map to have just that one tower there, right? That is kind of like a little bit of an extra annoyance for the enemies to deal with, right?
That's kind of how we were thinking about it too. At the different levels, depending upon how the lanes go, is different placement of the platforms, kind of like they had done in like Petroglyph did in Empire at War, where they
Mm,
had the different tower or the turret platforms you could build in different places, so you could create strategic places with that. You know,
Yeah. Oh, sounds good. Something else that comes to mind is if if the whole, alternate paths works out for us, if you're able to get that working nicely, um, let's say that there's one of these platforms. Well, it's completely covered by the, but there it is. One of these platforms kind of like strategically placed in each alternate path, but you're only allowed to build in one of them at a time, right?
that's interesting. I like that.
And then you're forced to make this choice as to, okay, I think they're going to take this path now, so I'm gonna have to destroy this one that I previously built so I can like prepare over here, right? And if you make the payment be like time for the thing to get constructed, um, I think that kind of works out, right?
Yeah, no, that
Um,
that sounds good actually.
Yeah, so just other things to try, and see how it really works out in practice.
Okay.
All right, well, very cool, very cool. Um, all right, so um, tutorial. What's your plan for establishing some kind of tutorial to teach the players the things they need to know? I know that there's still a couple of things that are still a little bit up in the air, right? Um, as far as finalizing some of the things. Obviously, we don't know yet how the towers are going to be paid for and whatnot.
But
And
certain core things are still going to be set already, like the
yeah,
villagers control and basic unit control, stuff like that. Yeah, I was going to start trying to get some of that in this week. I didn't do any revamps to the tutorial last week because we were still kind of up in the air on too much, and I didn't want to have to build it like reiterate the thing 5 times.
yeah, no,
just
yeah,
because.
absolutely, no. We don't want to do that. No. But if like you said, the things that we are already comfortable, you know, that we can say, yeah, that's how that's going to work, which is basically like just about anything that's going on over here at the village, right?
Right.
We know the villagers are working a certain way, and I mean, most likely they're not really gonna drastically change, right?
No.
Um, the only thing that it's village concerning maybe it's if you decide to make the hero be it's like he's just the protector of the village, and he only gets to travel so far out, right? And that's it. Um, but other than that, I guess you can start making just a basic tutorial as to like, hey, these are units, this is how you use them, and start gathering things, and this is how you do that, right?
Right.
Okay.
And I guess how you make all of these. This is kind of set in stone already, right? You gather resources with your villagers. These things have a certain cost, and you just buy them, and they go do their thing, right? So that is like a system that's just pretty much already set in stone. So you can start teaching the player about that as well,
All right.
right? And then once you figure out what's going on with the towers, uh, then we can add
Add
that
those
to the
into.
tutorial. Yeah. Is there anything special about this guy that you think players need to know about?
He casts lightning.
Tutorial wise.
He's the main antagonist. Just to, he's the end target for the level. I guess that would be
Right.
pretty much like. I mean, he summons units and he's hard to kill. He's the boss, and once you take him out, you win. I think that's really.
That's really all there is to it, right? So you can like just do
Maybe
like a
touch
quick
on the
thing.
fact that he'll spawn more as the longer you take, the more difficult he
Oh,
spawns.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Speaking of right, feedback, right? Like all these things that are happening as you play, right? Make sure you're providing the player with some kind of feedback. So if the longer you take, this guy gets like aggravated, I guess, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
he gets patient and whatever, and he's like, well, start sending more. How do we give that, how to give the player that information as we play, right? Is
Mhm.
there
I know at this point
is there
the only thing we
something
have
for him?
is the one audio cue when he'll spawn there's the whole cloud of rats that he'll spawn at once after I forgot what the set amount of time was
It's
for it,
2
but
minutes. Yeah.
there's the one audio cue for that. And so, I was wondering if we could use those, something to that effect, or,
Yeah, audio is great. Um, I'm thinking right now that it may be real useful also to provide me with some kind of HUD element that somehow tells me, hey, what's the aggravation level of this dude? And I guess I don't know. Right now, I'm just thinking of a meter, like somewhere
Okay.
right.
here or over here. I don't know. And then the meter has like certain tick marks, right? And maybe like a little bit of iconography, right? And once the meter kind of like crosses a certain, one of those thresholds, like where a tick mark is, then I know that's when the dude gets like aggravated and he's gonna like release something, one
Yeah.
of those big waves. Um, and it's like certain thresholds that I need to watch out for, right?
Exactly. You can kind of prepare for if you can see it ahead of time. Exactly.
Right. So you can put that on the HUD, or I don't know, maybe if you want to get clever, maybe you can figure out a way to represent it graphically on the Reaper, image itself, right? Um,
Right.
and that way, I mean, I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I'm interested to try it out and see how it works, right? Because that way the player is we'll have to kind of like do this. Is like, okay, he's not ready yet, so I'm gonna go back and do some preparation and kind of keep an eye on the Reaper like that, right? Now, I say that, right? But uh, as long as your maps are not too large, then moving the camera back and forth shouldn't be an annoyance, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking that right now, but again,
Well, and
You can
maybe if
make
the
the
maps
camera
do get
advance.
larger, we could have a hotkey for it. They do that in a lot of RTSs where you'll have it like
oh
the X
yeah,
key bring you back to
like
your
the
base, and then
like
maybe
the
the
quick
R key
key,
will take you up there.
go, like quickly go pan over to the Reaper and then quickly pan back. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Um, yes. I guess all that sort of, it's relying on if we do come up with like a cool way to represent his anger on him itself, right?
Okay.
If not, then some kind of meter up here will do the trick just fine as well. And that way we don't have to worry about panning cameras too much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. So I think that's it. That's all I want to cover for now. Um, so for the first turn-in, yeah, just start showing me some progress on the tutorial, and obviously just keep on progressing in all these other things. And I'm really curious about this alternate path, level, right? I would like you guys to try it out quickly. Well, by quickly I mean like sooner than later, right? Like don't leave it, don't put it off too long, because if it doesn't work, then we need to know right away that no, it's not going to work, right?
Okay.
Yeah. No, in fact, I've already kind of started getting one together, and it looks like it's going to work okay. I just
Okay.
didn't include it in the build last week because I did it after turn-in. But yeah, it looks like it's probably going to work out just fine. But I'm going to keep messing with it later tonight too, just to try to, like you said, make sure early in the week this week whether it's going to be viable or not.
Okay, good. So do you think you can have an example of that to show for your next build?
Oh, for sure, most
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. Outstanding. That sounds great. Then yeah. So you know, start progressing on your tutorial. I start putting together, you know, your tutorial, and then, you know, show me that alternate path level, and then from there on, you know, just keeping on, and,
Alright.
start figuring out how you want your towers to be paid for, and built and whatnot, and the hero guy,
Okay.
and then we'll take it from there.
All right, sounds good.
But yeah, I mean, so far, I'm really liking what I see. Yeah, this is progressing nicely.
Woohoo.
That was going to be my response too.
Cool. Any um, questions, comments, concerns before we end the meeting?
Just real quick clarification: the initial task list for the week is due tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Do sometime tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent. That was my only real question.
All right. Very cool.
Okay.
All right.
anything else?
Good. If everyone's good to go, then yeah, we'll go ahead and break here. Keep on keeping on. Go do things, make things happen, and we'll talk again next week.
Okay,
Alright.
sounds good.
All right. Thank
All
you
right,
again.
guys. Have a good evening.
You too.
You
You
too.
too.